The only woman, the Quran says, will enter hell. The worst woman to ever exist, past and future. She was very rich and very strong, but these would not be enough. The incredible life story of this cursed woman, feared even by Shaitan. Jamil's struggle, disbelief's war against Islam. Watch now her untold story. To understand today Islam's enemy, you must first understand her. She was the first to use the tricks that today's enemies of Islam still use. She pushed her husband to reject faith and used her power to torture the Muslims. The story of a woman so evil that even Shaitan would be surprised. Once again, we bring you a shocking story. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video to support us. If you're ready, let's begin. Jamil belonged to Quraysh, one of the most powerful tribes of Makkah. Her father, Harb bin Umayyah, was one of the respected leaders of Makkah. This meant that Jamil was born into a strong and well-known family. She was a woman from a high-status family, but this did not give her good character. Since childhood, she had been ambitious, proud, and full of anger. At a young age, she married Abu Lahab, the son of Abdul Muttalib. Abu Lahab was one of the richest and most powerful men in Makkah. His wealth made Jamil, who loved pride and luxury, very happy. Abu Lahab earned a great amount of money as a well-known trader of Quraysh, and Jamil used this wealth to become one of the most talked-about women in Makkah. However, one of her most known qualities was her sharp tongue. She was not a woman who only depended on her husband's wealth. She influenced the women around her, spread rumors, and tried to ruin the name of anyone she hated. This made her even prouder. But the real truth was that she was a woman who feared losing her power and the respect of others. While most people in Makkah were busy with trade, some were more focused on protecting the honor of their tribes. Jamil was obsessed with keeping the status of her own tribe and her husband. For her, the most important thing was the leadership of Quraysh, especially the family of Umayyah. But one day, shocking news spread in Makkah. Hazrat Muhammad alayhi salam said that he was the messenger of Allah. For Jamil, this was like a disaster. She knew the family line of the Prophet very well. He was from the family of Hashim, which was also a strong part of Quraysh. But if Hazrat Muhammad was really a Nabā, wouldn't her power be in danger? For Jamil, the real issue was not truth, but control. If Islam spread in Makkah, the rule of Quraysh would change and her proud world would fall apart. That is why she became one of the first women to fight against Islam. Her husband, Abu Lahab, had already started to oppose the Prophet. But Jamil took this hatred even further. She did not only stand against Islam, she tried everything to destroy it, to bring down the honor of the Prophet, and to scare the believers. Her poisonous words could be heard in the narrow streets of Makkah, in the courtyards of houses, and around the Kaaba. She was not just an enemy. She became a source of fitna. But her real battle was only starting. For Jamil, Islam was not just a belief, it was a serious danger to her life. There was one man in Makkah who stood against the system that had existed for years. Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And she was ready to do anything to stop this new dun from spreading. At first, she did not take it seriously. When she heard about Hazrat Muhammad's claim to Nubuwah, she thought it would not last long. But as more and more people followed him, Jamil was filled with fear and anger. Together with her husband, Abu Lahab, she became one of the leaders who fought against this new deen. Jamil had a strong influence on the women of Makkah. A single word from her could spread across the city very quickly. She used this power to harm Islam by creating lies and spreading false stories. Muhammad is crazy, she would say. He is a magician, she would warn people. He is a liar who is breaking the order of Makkah, she would claim. Her lies were not just to trick people. Her real goal was to damage the honor of the Prophet and push people away from him. She even used the lowest methods to achieve this. One day, in the market of Makkah, she gathered people and shouted, "Hazrat Muhammad is even harming his own family." But the truth was the complete opposite. The Prophet was the most honest and trustworthy man in Makkah. Yet Jamil tried to destroy his name with lies. Jamil's biggest enemy was Hazrat Khadija. She was one of the most respected women in Makkah and also the strongest supporter of the Prophet. Jamil felt great jealousy towards Hazrat Khadija. She made fun of her, encouraged the women of Makkah to turn against her, and tried to make her feel alone. However, no matter what she did, she could not succeed against the calm and dignified stance of Hazrat Khadija. Because of this, Jamil started showing her hatred for Islam through Hazrat Khadija. She threatened the women who visited her, saying, "If you keep meeting with her, we will exclude you from society." But Hazrat Khadija radiallahu anha remained patient and strong against these lies. The man in her heart was much greater than Jamil's anger. Jamil did not only use words, she also tried every way to stop Islam in action. She made plans to scare the new Muslims and force them to leave Islam. She provoked the leaders of Quraysh to increase pressure on the Muslims. She placed stones and thorns on the paths where the Prophet walked to harm him. She encouraged people to remove Muslims from trade and social life. One day, while the Prophet was praying near the Kaaba, Abu Lahab and Jamil ordered their men to throw filth on him. They did not hesitate for even a moment to insult the most noble and honest man in Makkah. But no matter how much they tried, the number of Muslims kept growing every day. This drove Jamil mad. Lies and slander were no longer enough for her. She began to plan to kill the Prophet. For many years, Jamil was one of the biggest enemies of Islam. But her name was not only mentioned in the streets of Makkah, it was also written in the Qur'an as one of the cursed ones forever. Abu Lahab and Jamil became more violent against the Muslims as Islam spread. But no matter what they did, the truth of Allah would win. Surat al-Masad was a clear curse from Allah upon Abu Lahab and his wife. When the surah was revealed, the fate of Jamil and Abu Lahab was sealed. One day, the Prophet stood on Safa hill and called out to the people of Quraysh, "O people of Quraysh, if I told you that there is an army behind this mountain ready to attack, would you believe me?" Everyone there answered, "Yes, because you have never lied." Then the Prophet said, "Then I warn you about a great punishment." A silence followed. This was the beginning of the open call to Islam. But Abu Lahab, full of anger, jumped up and shouted, "Did you gather us just to say this? May you perish." Then he quickly left. Because of these words, Allah revealed Surat al-Masad. May the hands of Abu Lahab be ruined, and ruined is he. His wealth will not benefit him or that which he gained. He will burn in a flaming fire. And his wife, the carrier of firewood, around her neck is a rope of fiber. This surah declared the terrible end of Abu Lahab and Jamil. The most striking part was the phrase, the carrier of firewood. This described how she carried stones and thorns to harm the Prophet, but it also showed her evil and destructive nature. When Surat al-Masad was revealed, Jamil became furious. To her, this surah was like a death sentence. People in Makkah were now talking about her fate. Even the leaders of Quraysh mocked her. One day she picked up a large stone and planned to kill the Prophet. She went to Masjid al-Haram, thinking she saw him sitting there. Hazrat Abu Bakr was with him. But Jamil could not see the Prophet even though he was right there. Instead, she turned to Hazrat Abu Bakr and shouted, "Where is your friend? I have come to harm him. He is the one who turned us against each other with his magic and lies." Hazrat Abu Bakr radiallahu an calmly looked at her. Allah had made the Prophet invisible to her eyes, even though he was sitting right in front of her. Jamil shouted in anger, threw the stone in her hand and quickly walked away. She knew that Surat al-Masad had announced her end, but no matter how much she became angry, Allah's judgment would not change. The revelation of Surat al-Masad was a great disaster for Abu Lahab and Jamil. They had tried everything to stop the rise of Islam, but Allah had already written their painful end. Their hatred for the Prophet was not limited to lies and oppression. Abu Lahab was one of the leaders who supported the social and economic boycott against the Muslims. This harsh boycott lasted for 3 years, causing great suffering for the Muslims. But neither Abu Lahab nor Jamil could stop Islam from growing. However, their cruelty only led to their own destruction. Allah had already informed through Surat al-Masad that Abu Lahab would suffer eternal punishment in Jahannam. His punishment in this world came in the form of humiliation and disease. A deadly illness spread across Makkah, and one day Abu Lahab was struck by a terrible disease. It was so horrifying that no one dared to go near him. Even the people of Quraysh abandoned him. He died alone, suffering in pain. For years, Jamil had supported her husband and walked with him on the path of oppression. But when the time came, she even abandoned her own husband. After Abu Lahab died, his body was left in the open. No one wanted to bury him. In the end, a few men were paid to remove his body. They threw him into a pit and covered him with stones. Thus, all the wealth, status, and pride they had in this world disappeared. After Abu Lahab's death, Jamil was left alone. The strong, arrogant woman who once thought she had power over everything had suddenly become weak and helpless. People in Makkah whispered about her, saying that Surat al-Masad had come true and that Allah's curse had fallen upon her and her husband. But Jamil refused to accept her fate. She continued to walk around Makkah, speaking with hatred against the Muslims. However, as time passed, she too became weak and hopeless. According to historical reports, she also had a terrible death. Some narrations say that she was crushed under a large stone, while others say that she died strangled with a rope around her neck. The words in Surat al-Masad, "Around her neck is a rope of fiber," became a reality in her death. Jamil and Abu Lahab were among the greatest enemies of Islam, but in the end they could not escape the punishment of Allah. In this world, they thought they were happy with their wealth, positions, and arrogance, but their end was filled with humiliation, suffering, and pain. This event is not just a lesson for them, but a warning for all disbelievers and oppressors until the day of judgment. O Allah, do not make us among those whose hearts are sealed like Abu Lahab and Jamil. Guide us to live with Aman, justice and good character in the path of the Prophet. Purify our hearts from arrogance, jealousy and hatred. Keep us firm on the straight path. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. May the hands of Abu Lahab be ruined, and ruined is he. His wealth will not benefit him or that which he gained. He will burn in a flaming fire, and his wife, the carrier of firewood. Around her neck is a rope of fiber. Amen. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video to support us. Among the Sahaba, there were 7 people who resembled Ashab al-Kahf. Until now, their names have not been mentioned enough. They also experienced various miracles. One of them was martyred, and bees surrounded his body, preventing the disbelievers from approaching. Another was swallowed by the earth, so his body never fell into the hands of the disbelievers. You will hear such things that you will regret not knowing about these heroes, and as you listen to their stories, you will not be able to hold back your tears. Without knowing the Sahaba, this religion cannot be truly known. Without their stories, we will always remain incomplete. These heroes have messages for today's youth. They have stepped out of unread books and come to visit your home. Open your ears, for today we are hosting 2 of them. At the beginning of the 4th year of the Hijrah, in the month of Safar, a deeply painful betrayal took place. The Rechi incident. A betrayal at the wells of Rechi, a heavy treachery. In response to this, Rasulullah ﷺ made very severe curses which will truly shock you when you hear them. After the Battle of Uhud, there were those who wanted to harm Rasulullah ﷺ, especially the surrounding tribes. Do you think Rasulullah ﷺ was only dealing with Makkah? No. He was also dealing with the surrounding tribes, the Jews in Madinah, and the hypocrites within Madinah. Dealing with so many people is not something any ordinary person could endure. If one were to reflect on these matters with fairness, they would understand why he was the true prophet. 3 tribes were especially involved: Banu Lihyan, Adal, Kara. The leader of Banu Lihyan, Khalid bin Sufyan, was preparing to attack Madinah. When Rasulullah ﷺ received intelligence about the attack in advance, he sent a Sariyah to prevent the problem before it began. The leader of the tribe was killed. Understanding the concept of Sariyah in Islam is crucial. These were the incredible strategic moves of Rasulullah ﷺ. When he received intelligence, he would resolve the matter before it reached Madinah. And so, the leader of Banu Lihyan was killed. Banu Lihyan wanted revenge. But did they have the strength? No. They wanted revenge but lacked power. So they resorted to deception. Banu Lihyan devised a plan. Among themselves, they said, "Let's pretend to be Muslims and ask for a teacher of the Qur'an. Muhammad ﷺ will send someone to us to teach us the religion." We will capture them, take revenge, and then sell them to the people of Makkah to make money. The Sahaba they captured would be sold to the Makkans, especially those who had lost relatives in Badr and Uhud. Since the Sahaba had killed their loved ones, they would pay a high price to buy them. This was their plan. Since Banu Lihyan could not go themselves, they sent the Adal and Kara tribes as intermediaries. They came to Rasulullah ﷺ and said, "We have decided to become Muslims. O Messenger of Allah, send us a teacher of the Qur'an." Rasulullah ﷺ had concerns, but his passion for delivering the message often overcame those worries. He was a prophet who constantly thought, will one more person believe? He was the great prophet who was warned, will you harm yourself because they do not believe? For him, one more person hearing the truth was more important than many other matters. That is why, despite his concerns, he still accepted sending people. Hypocrisy always comes disguised. It never announces itself by saying, I am a hypocrite, I am a polytheist, and I have come to harm your religion. Instead, it begins with words like, we actually want what is best for you, but, or, we are speaking for the good of Islam. A slander, a gossip, snake tongues, forked tongues, it is always the same. They say, we are here to make things better. Who would ever say, we are hypocrites and we have come to harm this religion? Hypocrisy always comes in beautiful packaging. It appears very polite, very refined, and very well presented. But behind it, there are hidden agendas. May Allah grant us insight so that we can see through their deception. Rasulullah ﷺ would choose those who wished to go. As you know, the Sahaba were always eager and passionate about such missions, and there were already great examples before them. As'ad bin Zurara, Mus'ab bin Umair Maktum. These were the people who opened the gates of Madinah. These brave young men were ready to give their lives in service to the cause. Rasulullah ﷺ selected 7 men, led by Asim bin Thabit, and sent them on the mission. The Adal and Kara tribes welcomed them and led them towards the Rechi wells. Rechi was about 70 kilometers from Makkah. Their plan was to take them to Makkah and sell them there. At Rechi, 200 men from the Banu Lihyan tribe were waiting, armed with bows and arrows, as mentioned in the sources. They launched an attack, 200 men against just 7 Sahaba. A rain of arrows fell upon them, for they could not get close to these 7 companions. 4 were martyred, while the remaining 3 were captured. Among the 7, the first to be martyred was Asim bin Thabit. He was from Madinah. Before Rasulullah ﷺ migrated, he had already accepted Islam. After the second pledge of Aqaba, he learned the religion from Maktum. He fought in Badr and Uhud, but he would not participate in any later battles because he would be martyred. He was also known as one of Rasulullah's 3 archers. When the 200 men betrayed and attacked, he stood firm and declared, I will never accept the protection of the polytheists. Then he began shooting arrows. He had 7 arrows. As he shot, he recited these words, Death is certain. Life is empty and temporary. Whatever is destined will surely happen. People will, sooner or later, return to Allah. This mindset of martyrdom was deeply ingrained in his heart. Each of his arrows hit the target. When he ran out of arrows, he took up his spear. He fought with his spear until it broke. When his spear broke, he drew his sword. He fought until his last drop of blood and was martyred there. Asim bin Thabit was a man with a bounty on his head, placed by the families of the polytheists he had killed in Uhud. Whoever captured him, dead or alive, would receive 100 camels as a reward. This was a huge fortune in that era. Imagine it as the price of 100 luxury cars today. But Asim bin Thabit had a very famous dua. Let's remember this throughout the video. Allahumma, let no polytheist touch me. He was incredibly firm in Tawhid. However, in the eyes of the betrayers, he was priceless because there was a great reward waiting. And Asim fought until his sword fell from his hands and he was martyred. The polytheists rushed to take his body and carry it to Makkah to claim the reward. But just as they reached out to touch his body, something incredible happened. Swarms of bees began to surround him. Yes, history would remember him as the Sahabi protected by bees. Thousands of bees encircled his blessed body, and not just any bees, large hornets that aggressively prevented anyone from getting close. The polytheists, stunned, said, "Let's set up a tent and wait for the bees to leave. They will surely disperse by nightfall." But they had no idea they were witnessing a miracle. When night came, they checked again. The bees were still there. They threw stones, lit fires, and tried to smoke out the bees, but it was impossible. "Let's wait until dawn," they said. "Maybe when the sun rises, we can try again." But just before sunrise, something astonishing happened. A massive thunderstorm struck. Lightning flashed across the sky, and a powerful rainstorm began. Floodwaters swept away the blessed body of Asim. Yes, Allah took his body away, and from that day on, no one ever found his remains. Was his dua accepted? Allahumma, let no polytheist touch me. Sincerity matters. 200 men had surrounded him. Was it possible for them not to touch him? If Allah wills it, nothing is impossible. Whoever is for Allah, Allah is for them. They returned to Makkah, claiming, "We killed Asim." But since they could not bring back his body, they never received the reward. Now let's move on to another blessed figure, Abdullah bin Tariq. During the battle, they did not kill Abdullah bin Tariq immediately. Instead, they captured him. As they were tying his hands, he fought back again. And in that struggle, he was martyred. Now let's move on to his friend, Hubayb bin Adi, the great man swallowed by the earth. After Hubayb bin Adi and Zayd bin Dathina were captured, they were taken away to be sold as slaves. On the way, the time for prayer arrived. But their hands were tied. They asked, "Allow us to make ablution." The polytheists refused. So they said, "Then let us perform tayammum with the earth and pray with gestures. Insha'Allah, Allah will accept it." And they did exactly that. The plan to execute Hubayb and Zayd. When they arrived in Makkah, Hubayb and Zayd were placed in separate houses. They were kept imprisoned for a month before their execution. Why? Because it was the sacred months, during which fighting and bloodshed were forbidden, but their fate was already decided. They would be executed publicly to discourage those in Makkah whose hearts had begun to warm toward Islam. There's something important to remember about Hubayb and Zayd. Both were veterans of Badr. What does this mean? It means they had killed Makkans in the Battle of Badr, so they were to be sold to those who had lost loved ones in Badr, so they could take revenge. That was the plan. Hubayb's sale and imprisonment. Hubayb was sold to a member of Banu Nafal, the family of Harith bin Amr bin Naal, whom he had killed in Badr. His foster brother Ibn Abi Juhayna bought Hubayb and chained him up in his home for a month. And now what happens next is truly incredible. The slave girl who witnessed a saint. In the house where Hubayb was chained, there was a servant girl named Mawiyah. She was assigned to take care of Hubayb's basic needs, but something unexpected happened. She was captivated by his character. The more she observed Hubayb, the more her heart warmed to Islam. Eventually, she could no longer resist helping him. One day she asked, "Tell me, what do you want from me?" Because her heart was already inclined toward Islam. And what did Hubayb ask for? Just two things. "Do not feed me meat that was slaughtered in the name of idols. Inform me before I am killed." When the time for his execution came, Hubayb was informed. Did he panic? Not even for a second. His face did not change at all. Do you understand what it means to kill death? Now you can truly appreciate the hadith, "Die before you die." Who were these words spoken for? And why? Muawiyah kept watching him. Her admiration only grew. Just imagine, someone comes to you and says, "You will die in a few days." Think about it. The waiting would be worse than the fire itself. For a human being, the most tormenting thing is waiting. But Hubayb's face did not change. Unbelievable submission. "Oh Allah, place this strength in our hearts. We are in desperate need of it. Our hearts are like dry, cracked earth, yearning for it." Preparing for death, like a groom for his wedding. When Hubayb learned of his impending death, he made a final request. He asked Muawiyah for a blade to shave himself, because martyrdom to them was like a groom's wedding day. They prepared themselves just like that. Can you believe it? The faith of Muawiyah and the miracle of grapes Muawiyah would eventually embrace Islam. Watching Hubayb, she grew to admire him more and more. One day, she would recount an incredible moment. "One day, I entered his room. It was not grape season, and the grapes in his hands were not from Makkah. Yet he kept eating grapes continuously. That's when I understood. He was being provided for by Allah." This became a well-known event, later practiced as a sunnah, with many similar stories recorded throughout history. One of those who followed this example was Ustad Said Nursi. When he was captured by the Russian commander Nikola Nikolaevich, remember what happened? He was sentenced to execution for refusing to stand up for the commander. And before the execution, what did they ask him? "Do you have a last request?" His response, 2 rak'ahs of salah. See, the Hubaybs of this Ummah have not disappeared, and they never will. Somewhere in Anatolia, the spirit of Hubayb is still walking. May Allah unite us with them. May we also receive a share of their sincerity and devotion. The final moments of Hubayb. Before being executed, Hubayb performed 2 rak'ahs of salah. After finishing, he said, "I shortened my prayer so that no one would say I was afraid of death. Otherwise, I would have prolonged it." Then he was tied to the tree. 40 people, relatives of those killed in Badr, stood around him holding spears. For them, this was a celebration. The torture began. First, they threw stones. Then they shot arrows at his body, but not in fatal areas. Finally, they moved in with spears, slowly stabbing him, dragging out his suffering. Why? Because the longer it lasted, the more they enjoyed it. Can you even imagine? Have you ever had a splinter stuck in your finger? It bothers you for days, doesn't it? A tiny splinter. I once had one, and I had to cut it out with a knife just to get rid of it. And here, they were stabbing him with spears. Spear after spear, but slowly to maximize the pain. Abu Sufyan's attempt to break him. Abu Sufyan was watching. Even in this state, Hubayb was calm. This was not good for their propaganda. Hubayb needed to break. He needed to say, "I am ashamed of being a Muslim. I regret following Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam." Only then would people fear Islam. But Abu Sufyan knew something else. Those who witnessed this would eventually become Muslim. So he approached Hubayb and offered him a deal. "Say that you wish Muhammad was in your place instead of you, and I will set you free." What was Hubayb's response? "Even if I had 1,000 lives and every day one was sacrificed, I would never say such a thing. I would gladly give them all, as long as nothing happens to him." The true test of love. Do you see this love? Do you understand where true devotion to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam is revealed? It's in difficult times. Is it easy? No. But we must be like them and never change. When does true love reveal itself? In hardship. Did you know that Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam often asked his companions a question? Do you love me? Loving Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam is not just an emotion. Loving Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam is not just about excitement. It is not even just about loyalty. Loving him is part of faith. One day, a man came to Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam, and repeatedly said, "By Allah, O Messenger of Allah, I love you very much." Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam asked him, "Do you realize what you are saying?" The man repeated, "By Allah, O Messenger of Allah, I love you very much." For the third time he said the same words. Then Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam warned him, "If you love me, then prepare an armor against poverty, because trials will come upon those who love me faster than a flood rushing towards its destination." People often see hardships and say, "If you had done this differently, this wouldn't have happened." But this mindset is blind. This way of thinking is ingratitude. Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam struggled so much. Did he, Hasha, ever make a mistake? Prophet Zakaria alayhi salam was sawed in half. Did he, Hasha, do something wrong? Prophet Musa alayhi salam was chased and had to flee to Madian. Did he, Hasha, make a mistake? Prophet Yunus alayhi salam was so overwhelmed that he left his people and was thrown into the sea. Did he, Hasha, make a mistake? Prophet Nuh's alayhi salam's son Canaan refused to board the ark. Did Nuh teach him wrong? These events are not failures. They are proof that hardships come upon those closest to Allah. Trials are the price of true love. Be prepared, because trials will come like a flood upon those who love Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. The severest trials come to the prophets, the saints, the believers, according to their level of faith. If you love, then be ready to stand firm despite the cost. And Hubayb paid that price with his life. The final moments of Hubayb bin Adi before being martyred, Hubayb made a heartfelt dua. "O Allah, right now I see no faces except these enemies. How painful it is. I have no friend beside me. O Allah, I see no familiar face around me. Please, deliver my salam to my beloved messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam." At that very moment, in Medina, inside Masjid an-Nabawa, Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam suddenly stood up and said, "Wa alayka salam, O Hubayb." The Sahaba were shocked and asked, "What happened, O Messenger of Allah? Who did you return salam to?" Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam replied, "Your brother Hubayb has been martyred." From miles away, his dua reached Medina, because when someone sincerely calls upon Allah, their voice is heard. Hubayb's body on display. His body was left hanging for days. Why? To frighten those whose hearts were leaning toward Islam. It was a message to make people afraid of becoming Muslim. But Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam did not allow his body to remain in enemy hands. He sent Amr bin Umayyah to recover Hubayb's body and give him a proper burial. And with that, Hubayb became immortal, not in the eyes of the world, but in the sight of Allah. The miracle of Hubayb's disappearance. Amr bin Umayyah was a man of great skill. As the guards were engaged in conversation, he reached the post where Hubayb's body was hanging. While they were distracted, he cut the ropes. The moment the ropes were severed, Hubayb's body fell to the ground. The sound alerted the guards, and they rushed toward the scene. But Amr quickly hid. After a while, when the area was clear, he emerged to retrieve the body. But what did he see? Hubayb's body was gone. The earth had taken him in and embraced him. From that day forward, he was known as Bala-ul-Ard, the companion swallowed by the earth. And from that day onward, no one ever found Hubayb's body. These are not just stories. They are real. These events happened. We might read them like stories, unaware of their depth. May Allah forgive us, for these are not fairy tales. They are reality. Now, let's move to Zayd's story. To whom was Zayd bin Dathina sold? Since he had killed Umayyah bin Khalaf in Badr, he was sold to Umayyah's son, Safwan bin Umayyah. Safwan then handed him over to his slave Nasik. He was kept chained for a month. Then he was taken to be executed in the same brutal way as Hubayb, hung up like a crucifix, stoned, shot with arrows, finally speared slowly to prolong the agony. The same suffering that Hubayb endured was now upon Zayd, the ultimate sacrifice. It's beyond difficult to describe, it's beyond difficult to comprehend, and to experience it, unimaginable. They had given the greatest sacrifice for Allah, to sacrifice oneself. Do you know what that means? It is far harder than sacrificing wealth, to give your own life, your own self for the sake of Allah. This is the greatest sacrifice of all, the ultimate path of self-purification. In Risale-i-Nur, it is said, the path of Naqshbandiya requires 4 renunciations: renouncing the world, renouncing even the hereafter, renouncing one's own self, forgetting even what has been renounced. Do you think Allah, whose treasures are infinite, would not reward such sacrifices? May Allah grant us the honor of being with Hubayb. May Allah make us neighbors of Hubayb in the next life. The curses of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. That day, Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam made powerful curses upon the oppressors. See you in the next video, inshallah. Before we go, don't forget to like the video. By doing so, we can spread this story to more people. We are aiming for at least 5,000 likes, inshallah. This will motivate us to prepare the next video with even greater effort. Your comments matter to us. Please write what you felt and share a dua from your heart in the comments. Let's all say Amen together. Let's spread this story to more people. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next videos. May Allah protect you all. Like Fir'aun was to Musa, he was the Fir'aun to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. This man, a symbol of arrogance and cruelty, promised to destroy Islam and its Prophet. With his power, family and wealth, he was one of the most important people in Mecca, but he would be remembered as the father of ignorance. His story is not just about one man. It is the battle between truth and falsehood. Why did Abu Jahl fight so hard? Was he truly unaware? His defeat at Badr and his pride that lasted until his final breath, the painful end of the pharaoh of the Ummah, Abu Jahl, will surprise you. Now before you, the untold story of Abu Jahl, with details that most people do not know. Subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss these Islamic videos. Abu Jahl, whose real name was Amr bin Hisham bin al-Mughira, belonged to the Makhzum tribe, one of the most influential tribes of Mecca. The Makhzum tribe was one of the strongest and most respected branches of Quraysh and was responsible for Mecca's defense. Because of this, Abu Jahl was raised with leadership qualities from childhood. His exact birth date is unknown, but it is estimated that he was a few years older than Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. His family was among the wealthiest and most powerful in Mecca. His father, Hisham bin al-Mughira, was a respected leader in Quraysh and a wealthy merchant. He sent and received goods across the Arabian Peninsula through trade caravans, accumulating great wealth. Abu Jahl grew up in luxury and comfort. He received the best education of his time, learned to read and write, and became skilled in poetry and public speaking. From a young age, he stood out for his intelligence, speaking ability, and charismatic personality. His influence in society allowed him to play an active role in Mecca's social and economic life. He acted as a mediator in tribal disputes and had a say in important decisions. For him, Family honor and tribal reputation were the most important things. He played a significant role in Mecca's social and political affairs, shaping the future of the community. He was deeply attached to traditions and the beliefs of his ancestors. As a defender of idol worship, he believed that the religious and social structure of Mecca had to be preserved. The idols in the Kaaba were not just religious symbols, but also a source of Mecca's economic power. Pilgrims from different parts of the Arabian Peninsula visited the Kaaba, boosting the city's trade. Because of this, Abu Jahl saw any disruption of the existing order as unacceptable. He considered it his duty to protect the honor of the Kaaba and Mecca. In 610, Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ began calling people to Islam after receiving revelations in the cave of Hira. The belief in one Allah, the rejection of idol worship, and the principles of social justice disturbed the Meccan leaders. Abu Jahl was one of the harshest opponents of this new religion. He believed that the spread of Islam would threaten his authority, family honor, and the balance of society. He also knew that his economic interests would be at risk. At first, he did not take the message of Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ seriously, but as Islam quickly spread, especially among the youth, slaves, and women, he became worried. Because of this, he took various measures. He became the mastermind behind the persecution and oppression of Muslims. His plans included isolating Muslims from society, putting them in economic hardship, and even subjecting them to physical torture. Sumayya bint Khayyat and Yasir bin Amir, who are considered the first martyrs of Islam, were among the first Muslims to suffer under Abu Jahl's oppression. This family, who had embraced Islam together, was subjected to severe torture to make them renounce their faith. Abu Jahl personally tortured Sumayya, trying to force her to give up her belief. However, when she remained steadfast, he became enraged and martyred her with his spear. Yasir was also tortured and killed in a similar way. Their perseverance and patience became an example for other Muslims and were recorded in Islamic history with honor. Bilal al-Habasham was an Abyssinian slave who served under his master, Umayyah bin Khalaf. His acceptance of Islam angered Abu Jahl and the other Meccan leaders. Abu Jahl ordered severe torture to force Bilal to abandon his faith. Bilal was laid on the burning sand. Heavy stones were placed on his body, and he was left hungry and thirsty. However, he continued to shout, "Ahad, Ahad," declaring the oneness of Allah. This resistance became legendary among Muslims, and Bilal became one of the most important figures in Islam. Later, Hazrat Abu Bakr bought Bilal and set him free. Abu Jahl's enmity was not only against Muslims, he also directly attacked Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ. His goal was to destroy the Prophet's reputation among the people and stop his message. Once, while the Prophet was praying near the Kaaba, Abu Jahl and his friends threw a camel's stomach on him. This was one of the moments that tested the patience of Muslims. Hazrat Fatima, while cleaning the dirt off her father, could not hold back her tears. However, the Prophet remained patient and calm, prayed, and sought help from Allah. Abu Jahl insulted Hazrat Muhammad ﷺ many times, trying to humiliate him. He called him a magician, a poet, and a madman to make people see his message as worthless. However, the Prophet's honesty, morals, and trustworthiness were well known among the people. Many of Abu Jahl's efforts backfired, causing more people to accept Islam. Abu Jahl and other Quraysh leaders imposed a 3-year-long boycott against Muslims. During this period, known as Shib Abi Talib, Muslims and the family of Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam were forced to live outside Mecca. Trade with them was forbidden and marriages were not allowed. Muslims suffered greatly, facing hunger and hardship. The cries of starving children could be heard in the streets of Mecca. Some even had to eat tree leaves to survive. But despite all the difficulties, they did not give up their faith. The boycott ended when some Meccans felt guilty and tore up the agreement. Abu Jahl's arrogance and stubbornness prevented him from seeing the truth. It is said that one night, while near the Kaaba, he listened to the Qur'an recited by Hazrat Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he was deeply moved. He was amazed by the beauty and depth of the verses. However, because of his pride and position in society, he could not accept it. He once told his friends, "I know that what Muhammad says is true, but I cannot be equal to him." These inner conflicts only made him more hostile. Even after Muslims migrated to Madinah, Abu Jahl continued his hostility. The safety of trade caravans was now at risk. When there was a possibility that a caravan led by Abu Sufyan might be attacked by Muslims, Abu Jahl gathered the Meccan army and decided to go to war. Some Meccan leaders were hesitant about war, but Abu Jahl strongly insisted on fighting. He convinced others by saying that Muslims were a threat to Mecca and its trade routes. He also promised great wealth if they won the war. With this, the Meccan army set out for Badr. The Battle of Badr, which took place in 624, was a turning point in Islamic history. Abu Jahl participated as the commander of the Meccan army. Despite having a larger army, they were shocked by the Muslims' strategy and strong belief. Before the battle, Abu Jahl gave speeches to motivate his army and was confident of victory. However, two young men, Sa'd bin Mu'adh and Auf bin Harith, had heard of his oppression and vowed to kill him. After intense fighting, Abu Jahl was seriously wounded. After the battle, Hazrat Abdullah bin Mas'ud found him lying on the ground, injured. Abdullah bin Mas'ud said, "Abu Jahl, where is your arrogance now? Did Allah not bring you down?" Abu Jahl replied, "Who is greater than me? I only regret that the one killing me is someone as weak as you." These words show that his pride and arrogance remained until his last breath. Abdullah bin Mas'ud confirmed his death and declared it a great victory for Islam. Abu Jahl's death was a heavy blow to the Quraysh of Mecca. The loss of their leader weakened their morale and reduced their ability to stop the spread of Islam. For Muslims, this was a great victory and a source of motivation. The Battle of Badr played a major role in strengthening Islam and boosting the confidence of Muslims. Additionally, with the help of Allah, this battle showed how a small and weak group could achieve victory. Abu Jahl's family and relatives also played important roles in the fight against Islam. However, some of his family members later accepted Islam. His son, Ikrimah bin Abu Jahl, at first followed in his father's footsteps and fought against Islam. But after the conquest of Mecca, he became a Muslim and earned an important place in Islamic history. Unlike his father, Ikrimah was a sincere Muslim and made great contributions to Islam. He was martyred in the Battle of Yarmouk. His brother, Harith bin Hisham, was also against Islam in the beginning. But later, he too accepted Islam and helped spread the religion. The transformation within Abu Jahl's family was a sign of how Islam could enter hearts and change lives. Abu Jahl is remembered in Islamic history as a symbol of denial, oppression, and arrogance. His title, Abu Jahl, meaning father of ignorance, does not refer to a lack of knowledge, but to his stubbornness and refusal to accept the truth. Even though his real name was Amr bin Hisham, Muslims called him Abu Jahl to emphasize his attitude and character. In Islamic sources, his actions and behavior are frequently criticized as a warning for believers. Although his name is not directly mentioned in the Qur'an, there are references to arrogant and disbelieving individuals like him. In Surat Al-Alaq, a person who tries to stop others from praying is mentioned, and it is interpreted that this refers to Abu Jahl. Also, it is said that Surat Al-Falaq and Surat An-Nas teach Muslims to seek protection from people like him. The life of Abu Jahl is an example of how arrogance and pride can lead to destruction. Arrogance blinds a person to the truth and pushes them toward the wrong path. Abu Jahl knew the truth, but his pride prevented him from accepting it, which led to his downfall. Muslims remained firm in their faith, and their patience eventually brought them victory. Their resistance in difficult times was recorded in history with honor. Oppression and injustice are always destined to be defeated, and Abu Jahl's tyranny ended in his own loss. Blindly following traditions without questioning can prevent growth and progress. Instead of trying to understand a new religion and its teachings, Abu Jahl chose to fight against it. His story is not just about one person, but also reflects the struggles and transformations that societies go through during times of change. His stubbornness and arrogance made him one of the negative figures in history. However, this story serves as a lesson for Muslims, showing the importance of learning from the past. Today, the name Abu Jahl is remembered as an example of what not to follow. His story is a reminder to avoid repeating the mistakes of the past. Understanding this important figure in Islamic history helps us better grasp the struggles of that time and the challenges Muslims faced. His story also has parallels with similar events throughout human history. The desire for power, arrogance, and stubbornness can lead people down the wrong path. If you enjoyed our video, don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Share your thoughts in the comments. See you in the next video. May Allah protect you. Can hidden creatures from other worlds affect your life? If you can't find peace in your home, the reason might be much scarier than you think. Can a marriage last under the control of dark forces? When demons and jinn take over a home, the dark game will start. Where forbidden things are watched or listened to, they are there. Watching in silence, waiting to take your soul. Dark spirits. Maybe without knowing, you let them in. As you walk, they might be watching. In the Qur'an, Allah said, which actions make shaitan come to a person? You'll be shocked when you hear. Please subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and like the video to support us so you don't miss these kinds of videos. If you're ready, let's begin. We often hear these complaints inside ourselves, don't we? I feel a deep sadness. I'm overwhelmed. My heart feels heavy. My soul is under pressure. I can't enjoy life. I have no peace. I keep arguing with people. My home doesn't feel peaceful. One of the biggest reasons for this is the flow of dark energies into our hearts and surroundings. It's like seeds of evil spirits being planted in our homes. Over time, these seeds grow, and soon, peace begins to disappear. Allah says in Surah Az-Zukhruf, verse 36, Man yurid an zikri rahman, nuqayyid lahu shaytanan, fahuwa lahu qarn. This means that if a person turns away from Allah's remembrance and commands, choosing to indulge in sin, Allah allows a devil to take control of him. Every place has a spirit, and that spirit affects the people in it. This is a very important topic. That's why I ask you to like and share this video so others can benefit. It's also important that you watch the conversation until the end. By watching this video, you will learn how to protect yourself, your home, and your workplace from evil spirits, jinn, devils, and their whispers. You will understand the causes of the troubles in your heart and the unrest in your home. And when you apply the steps I mention, you will feel peace and blessings enter your life. Let's start from the very beginning to understand this topic better. In places where good deeds are done, arwahut tayyiba, meaning pure souls, are present. Allah creates angels in those places, and because of this, people feel peace and happiness there. But in places where sins are committed, arwahul khabitha, meaning evil spirits, jinn and devils, reside. A person with a corrupted heart will feel discomfort and unease in such places. The more a place follows Allah's commands, the more it affects a person's spirituality. Even the chances of seeing Rahman dreams increase. On the other hand, places where Allah's laws are ignored also impact a person's soul, daily life, and dreams. Now let's think about our bedrooms. Every place carries the spiritual energy of those who have been there before. This energy, whether positive or negative, spreads into the home and affects the person who stays, rests, or sleeps there, no matter how long or short the duration. For example, in mosques, places of worship, and dargahs, a person feels spirituality more strongly. Their heart feels at peace. In contrast, in places where actions go against Shari'ah, a person's mind and heart may drift away from Allah, making them more vulnerable to shaitan influences. Because the environment itself carries a negative energy. However, if someone strengthens their connection with Allah and protects themselves, they may not be affected even in such places. But for ordinary people like us, this is not always the case. We are influenced by our surroundings. This doesn't only apply to places, but also to friendships. If a person's friend is drawn toward negative thoughts, spending time with them can push that person in the same direction. On the other hand, being with someone who follows Allah's commands has a positive effect. Everything in the universe is connected and interacts with one another. Some people develop spiritually and intellectually to shield themselves from negative influences. But this is not possible for everyone. Most people are easily affected and cannot always protect themselves. Without realizing it, we are exposed to different energies daily, whether on public transport or in various places we visit. For example, during long-distance or international travel, we stay in the same space for hours. The thoughts and dhikr of the people around us influence our minds. That's why it is important to create a mental shield against negative energy and seek Allah's protection. No one can stay fully aware at all times. Even if a person tries to isolate themselves, their thoughts may drift. In those moments, the energy and frequencies of the people nearby affect them. Some people have stronger energy waves than others, whether good or bad. A good person spreads positivity, while a bad person leaves a negative impact. That's why we say, pay attention to what you eat and drink, the people you spend time with, and the places you visit. Be mindful of those you travel with for long periods. Being selective is always beneficial. If someone prepares food with bad intentions, negative thoughts, or while using foul language, that energy can transfer into the food. Eating it may cause headaches, stomach issues, or even affect a person's morals. That's why eating outside is not always a good idea. It is better to eat from places we trust, where we know the beliefs and intentions of the people preparing the food. This is an important matter that many overlook. Randomly choosing a place to eat, saying, "There's a place here, let's grab something," is not the right approach. We should carefully choose where we eat and prefer places where we trust the people. From the verses of the Qur'an, we understand that places have a spirit, and that spirit affects the people living there. What shapes this spirit are the people who stay in that place and the actions performed there. To explain this, I want to share 2 hadiths and 2 events from the life of the Prophet ﷺ as evidence that places carry a spiritual essence. We all know about the incident of the elephant, don't we? 52 days before the birth of the Prophet ﷺ, Abraha and his army came to Mecca to destroy the Kaaba. But Allah sent Ababil birds that wiped out Abraha's army. The Qur'an describes this event in the following verse. أَلَمْ تَرَ كَيْفَ فَعَلَ رَبُّكَ بِأَصْحَابِ الْفِيلِ أَلَمْ يَجْعَلْ كَيْدَهُمْ فِي تَضْلِيلٍ وَأَرْسَلَ عَلَيْهِمْ طَيْرًا أَبَابِيلَ تَرْمِيهِمْ بِحِجَارَةٍ مِّن سِجِّيلٍ فَجَعَلَهُمْ كَعَصْفٍ مَأْكُولٍ. Have you not seen what your Lord did to the people of the elephant? Did he not make their plan go to waste? He sent flocks of birds against them. They pelted them with stones of baked clay, and he made them like eaten-up straw. Suratul Ful 1-5. The place where this event took place is Wadi Muhassir, my brothers and sisters. When the Prophet ﷺ was returning from Arafat to Mina, he passed through this valley very quickly. The reason was that a great sin had been committed there. There was rebellion against Allah. As a result, Allah destroyed Abraha and his army with Ababil birds. Because this great sin left a mark on that place, the Prophet hurried through it. Similarly, when the Prophet ﷺ passed through the land of Hijr, where the people of Thamud were destroyed, he noticed that his companions had drawn water from the wells there and used it to knead dough. The Prophet ordered them to pour out the water and feed the dough to the camels. He did not allow them to eat it. Then, as they left that place quickly, he warned them, "Do not enter the land of those who were punished unless you are crying." He further advised that if they could not cry, they should not go there at all, so that they would not suffer the same fate. My brothers and sisters, these lands are places where rebellion and great sins were committed. These 2 incidents show us that places also have a spiritual presence. For example, in Makkah, those with deep hearts feel awe and fear on Mount Thabur, while on Mount Hira they feel peace and security. When the Prophet ﷺ was migrating from Makkah to Medina, the disbelievers were chasing him. He climbed Mount Thabur, but the mountain said to him, "O Messenger of Allah, leave me. I fear that if they strike you upon me, Allah will punish me." Meanwhile, Mount Hira called out, "O Messenger of Allah, come to me." This mountain gave him a sense of safety and protection. This is why our scholars say, those with deep hearts feel awe on Mount Thabur, while they feel security on Mount Hira. This again shows us that places have a spiritual essence. The world is not empty. Every place is filled with the devoted servants of Allah who worship Him. When worship and good deeds are performed in a place, it becomes filled with arwahut tayyiba, meaning pure and blessed souls. For example, when you visit the mosques built by our ancestors and pray in a mosque where people have worshipped for centuries, the peace you feel is different from that of a newly built mosque, because for hundreds of years, angels have been created in that mosque and pure souls have been present. That's why praying there brings a unique sense of peace and spiritual pleasure. It is just like sitting beside a scholar who has spent decades in pursuit of knowledge. On one side, you have a scholar who has been devoted to knowledge and taqwa for 70 to 80 years, and on the other, someone who has studied for only a few years. Naturally, you benefit much more from the one with deeper knowledge and experience. The same applies to places. Locations where worship has been performed for a long time bring peace to the soul. Those who have gone for Umrah or Hajj know this well. Since hundreds of prophets have prayed at the Kaaba and worship continues there constantly, people feel an incomparable sense of peace in that sacred place. All of this serves as strong evidence that places carry a spiritual essence. There are other beings in the universe besides us, and Allah has created them from fire, light, and different elements. In places where Allah is worshipped, pure souls are present. Allah creates these souls and grants peace to those places. However, in places where sins are committed, arwahul khabitha, impure spirits, jinn and devils are found. Now, my brothers and sisters, after explaining this, let's think together. We often hear complaints like these, don't we? I feel restless, I'm overwhelmed, my heart feels tight, my soul is burdened, I can't enjoy life, I have psychological struggles, there is no peace between me and my spouse, we keep arguing, my children don't listen to me, my home has lost its peace. So what is one of the biggest reasons for this? Spending time in places where sins are committed and being affected by the arwahul khabitha, the impure spirits in those places. Just like stepping into fire burns you and makes you feel the heat, entering sinful places exposes you to these dark spirits. They disturb your soul, bring unease to your heart, and take away your peace. For example, imagine you are at home. You turn on the TV and most of the shows and movies you watch contain haram content. This means that darkness is flowing into your home through the screen. In a way, the seeds of impure spirits are entering your house through television. Over time, these seeds grow and peace begins to disappear. Arguments start between spouses, children become disobedient to their parents, and things stop going well in life. The reason behind all of this is that we invite impure spirits into our homes. If we want to be free from this situation, my brothers and sisters, we must stop watching haram content and only fill our time with beneficial things. Now, summer is here, isn't it? Weddings are being held where men and women mix freely. Unfortunately, even in the most religious families, we see this happening. Such gatherings turn into disobedience to Allah because many things that Allah has forbidden take place there. And what happens in a place where Allah's commands are ignored? Rebellion occurs. And what happens where there is rebellion? Arwahul khabitha, impure spirits, jinn and devils are present. If a marriage begins with the presence of impure spirits, jinn and devils, that marriage will not have peace. Sooner or later, problems will arise in that home because those dark spirits will attach themselves to the hearts of the people living there. That is why, my brothers and sisters, hold your weddings in the way that Allah has commanded. Or imagine another situation. You are sitting in a place where sins are being committed. May Allah protect us. For example, you are spending time in an environment where gossip and backbiting are happening. Or you are looking at your phone and may Allah protect us, watching something haram, listening to haram things, or engaging in something sinful. Doing this means that you are keeping impure jinn and devils near you and even inviting them into your life. If we continue like this, we will never find true joy in life, and we will never have peace. That's why, my brothers and sisters, if you want to be free from fear, anxiety, distress, and whispers in your heart, if you are looking for true peace, If you want to be happy both in this world and in the hereafter, then stay away from sinful people and sinful places. Of course, it is not always possible to leave such environments immediately. So, what should we do? We must take spiritual precautions, my brothers and sisters. And what are these precautions? Attend a religious gathering at least once a week. Visit a place where sins are not committed. Pray in congregation as much as possible. Spend time with righteous and pious people who fear Allah. Stay in a state of wudu, ablution. Regularly engage in dhikr and supplications. Learn and strengthen your faith through religious lessons. If we do this, my brothers and sisters, we will find peace in our hearts. We will experience blessings in our lives. Our homes will be filled with tranquility. Our children will be righteous. Our wealth will have barakah. And most importantly, we will be protected from the harm of devils and jinn. They will not be able to overpower you, and they will not be able to harm you. In summary, we must stay away from sinful places. We must not allow haram content to enter our homes through television or phones. If we let these things in, we invite arwahul khabitha, impure spirits, jinn and devils, into our lives. Let's say we are walking down a street, right? That street could be a sinful place, because outside, modesty is not always observed, and such streets are filled with arwahul khabitha. So what should we do? We should avoid those streets and choose quieter, safer paths instead. Just as we avoid physical dirt, we must also avoid spiritually polluted places. We must be careful not to sit in spiritually dirty environments and not to associate with spiritually corrupt people. Similarly, we must stay away from films and shows that carry spiritual impurity. If we follow this path, we will be protected from the harm and whispers of jinn and devils. They will not be able to harm us or take control of our lives. Now, the choice is yours. May Allah protect us all from these dark beings. Share this video with your loved ones and warn them of these dangers. Darkness may be much closer than you think. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.